name, but like one of the early dubstep guys.
Uh-huh.
He got sued by Ferrari because he this was like in 2010. This was like a while ago, but he put a plastic like design wrap around his Ferrari, and it was
Yeah.
like cats, and he called it the
Ferrari.
Ferrari. And Ferrari sued him for that because they said you can't let our car look like that. You can't do that to our car. Hello, welcome to the Thinking in Tech podcast. I'm one of the co-hosts, Dylan. I'm joined here today with my co-host Baz. This is the
Howdy.
te- this is the 10th episode of the Thinking in Tech podcast. It's a podcast about two guys who work in tech, play around with the tech, and love to talk about tech. Before we get started, if those watching, be kind enough to hit the like button below. We have a ton of fun doing this podcast, and we really want to grow it as much as possible. And those like counts go a huge way at helping us reach and find a new audience. And if you enjoy what you watch today, click on the subscribe button to catch our future episodes. Alrighty. Before we jump into things and get started, how you been, Baz? Is anything you've been working on lately, or what you been up to?
The usual. Yeah, I love to talk about tech and I hate tech, just for the record.
I feel like those
And
go hand in hand, right?
like our production problems, this is like the fourth attempt to record this show today.
Yep. AI
Um,
can't fix everything.
no. Yeah, well, I've been learning about how complicated VGA chipsets were back in the 90s. Today, the video stuff's actually way simple from a programmer perspective compared to what people had to deal with back then with all these different incompatible chipsets and wacky, all the variables involved in setting up a display on an old CRT monitor. Uh,
Hmm.
anyway, so decoding that, like decoding VGA registers as emulated software is writing them, and then figuring out what that means in terms of like a modern display, like how many pixels big is this, and uh, I was working on it. I did get that done though, so I'm going to be doing
Nice.
hopefully cutting a video for my channel here shortly, talking about that and demoing some of that stuff. So after you get done watching this, everybody come over there and check that one out.
Yeah, totally. Look out for the link in the description for that. Check it out, or maybe we can even just put on top of the video on YouTube. That'll be a fun one for sure. Yeah, on my side of things, I'm mostly just working on school still, and work on this podcast as a side hobby. Um, Finished up my spring semester, my first semester for my computer master's program. Wait, computer science master's program, and doing summer class, which is what's the name of the class? I don't even know the name of the class. Information security strategies and policies, which is basically just a cybersecurity class, and it's not supposed to be anything too complex. I was trying to get a kind of easy summer class so I can still go out and do fun things.
So do they
Um,
screen students for the class by asking you if you can say the name of the class three times fast?
I hope not, because if they do, I might be in trouble. Okay, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the news. What's been going on in tech this week. So one of the bigger, kind of more controversial pieces of news to come out this week was about the new Ferrari car that's come out, which is an electric Ferrari. I believe it's the first electric Ferrari, or at least the one that they're kind of like, mass producing, and that's quote unquote because it's as far as Ferrari mass produces, that's still like not as many as other car companies come out with. But the car is called the Ferrari. So when I try reading it, just by reading it, it looks like Lucy, Ferrari Lucy, but apparently it's pronounced Luce, which I'm sure
Luce.
that's a yeah Italian word for light actually,
Okay, yeah, those
which
wacky Italians and their pronunciation.
and I didn't write down exactly how heavy the car is in my notes. I should have. I meant to, but I think it's like I think you sent something saying it's like 5,000 pounds or something insanely heavy.
I think it was you said I think 2.2 tons, which is
2.2, yeah.
4,400 pounds.
So it's kind of
Uh,
an ironic
mhm.
name for being called light when it's actually extremely heavy.
Well, I think Luce is like like photons light.
Oh, okay.
And there is that pun in English, of course. Um, So I had heard a little bit about this. And there was a lot of pushback from Ferrari enthusiasts, I think.
Yeah, I think definitely the enthusiast, and I think just general like I'm not a huge car guy, but I think Ferraris are cool, and you see a Ferrari, okay, cool sports car, right? And I think from the enthusiast to the people like me, they see the picture of this car that came out, and that's was not at all what they expect would come out to Ferrari. If listeners haven't seen a picture of their car yet, I'll put one on top of our faces real quick so you can see what it looks like. But if you took off that little Ferrari badge, I would have never guessed that was Ferrari. I think most people would never guess it was Ferrari. Um,
It's the one on the bottom, right, with the Ferrari logo.
yeah, that's
Uh,
right. On
and and the one
uh-huh.
on the top is just some random electric SUV.
I believe that's the Nissan Leaf. So yeah, in our show notes
Oh.
we have this. This is actually an image made by Nissan. I'll share it here too. But it's the as you can see, it's a car stacked on top of each other. One's the
Yep.
Nissan Leaf, which is I believe about $30,000 EV, and below is the new Ferrari, which comes out to about $640,000. So like however many multiple times that, and they look pretty identical. And that's a lot of people have been that's kind of been people's issue with it. I don't think necessarily that because it's an electric vehicle. Maybe some of the Ferrari enthusiasts have problems with that. I don't have any problems with that. I'm a fan of EV cars. I think it makes sense to have an EV for Ferrari, but you'd still maybe expect one that looks and feels like a Ferrari, right?
I'm trying to figure out what feels off about this to me. Um, aside aside from the fact that it looks like most other cars. Historically, I think I'm a kind of a mid-grade car buff. My I have a Honda, but then that's my practical car, and then
Mm-hmm.
I also have a 2018 Mustang GT V8,
Nice. I didn't know
um,
that.
which is plenty to get in trouble with. uh, I had that up to I think 152, and it's got a limiter at 158. So it's the Mustangs have always had a distinct look
Mm-hmm.
and kind of proportions. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'd say the first couple years were a little slimmer looking, a little further off the ground, a little slimmer looking. These days, sports cars, all are kind of lower and hug the ground for aerodynamics. There's been a lot of like I started noticing it, and people talk about it a lot. How modern cars, especially SUVs, all look the same. Uh, and I think the reasoning for that is well, there's always been some like, oh, that's a popular car, so we're gonna copy its style, right? That especially in the sports car world, that happens a lot. But some of it's driven by aerodynamics, right? So all these modern cars get put in a wind tunnel, and they end up tweaking them the
Mm-hmm.
same way to achieve the same results of having lowest drag. Um, this one looks it looks fat to me, which it from like it's thick from bottom to top, and I'm wondering if that's they had to do that because they needed room for the batteries,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
right?
if you look at this little picture here, the bottom of the car is black, like they're almost hiding that. It's like almost
Yes.
like trying to do a visual trick of that. Yeah, I bet that's what it is. I don't think I have it in the notes here, but I read in one of the articles it has like four engines for each wheel, and I imagine it takes,
Hmm.
a ton of batteries to do that. And it's kind of like I know how the Tesla does it is like basically the entire bottom of the car is just like a bunch of the equivalent of laptop batteries, right?
It's just yeah, it's that technology, yeah, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the whole bottom of the car is flat and relatively low to the ground. So you're sitting on top of the batteries basically when you're
Mm-hmm.
driving around in I think in any of these. And they all work the same way because they have to have that many batteries to get the range. Uh, so yeah, it doesn't really look like one. I bet it doesn't have the aerodynamics of a gas powered. Those things tend to be really low to the ground. Um,
Yeah.
and this is kind of low to the ground. Uh, I bet this also doesn't handle as well. Ford. I'm ambivalent on EVs. Like the idea is interesting. There's definitely some use cases where, I think they make a lot of sense. Like if you're just commuting, but you're commuting a lot, like it's a
Yeah.
30 or 45-minute drive every day, and you can get to work and then back home and plug it in. Like I can kind of see that.
I think no gas station. This is just kind of general EV talk now, but I think no gas stations sound great because I'm not a fan of going by gas stations and like you go through three or four pumps and find the one that works, and then like you go inside and the
Oh,
bathroom's closed, and um, we
well,
part. Uh huh.
if the infrastructure is there, I was I went on a trip a year ago roughly,
Hmm.
and ended up, I'm like, I just want the cheapest car. Okay, so this car rental agency has, literally, they call it the mystery car. Usually
Okay.
you could pick, like, compact, super tiny SUV. This is just like mystery, and I'm like, okay, fine. So they'll just give me whatever's on hand, right? Well, as it turns out, what they mean by that was not actually just random. It was an electric,
Hmm.
and they call it the mystery car because they can't get people to rent electrics.
Yeah, that was a big problem with like Hertz. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a Hertz related company. It wasn't
Hmm.
Hertz. But anyway, so I'm like, oh, good grief. Well, I'm not. This is a kind of a work trip, so I'm not going to work or travel a lot. So I'll
Right.
I'll figure it out. Where I was staying was near a Costco. I was able to plug into the charger there, and then like leave it at the charger at Costco, and then
Hmm.
walk back to where I was staying for a couple hours, and then walk back to the Costco to pick the car up later. Uh, so I mean, if you had, if you were lucky to be near it like that, if you know you're going to have it, you can kind of plan around it. I had
Yeah.
to, I
I
had to.
mean, like, well, last time I went to Boston for a work trip, the cheapest options, it was Hertz, directly through Hertz. The cheapest option they had was the EVs. And I was like, that sounds cool, especially because I was like interested in EVs. I didn't own one. I actually still don't own one. But that was my same thing. I was like, I don't know the area I'm going to. I don't know
Yeah.
how or where I'll charge it. It just didn't seem like a great idea. So I spent more for the gas version, even though in most cases I'm pretty bullish on having the EV vehicles, and that is kind of like an infrastructure thing where it's improving. Like you can even start seeing them pop up at 7-Elevens through here, but I think the scenario you were talking about definitely is like if you're using it to commute within your own community, you have it in your
Hmm.
garage and you charge it. I think that's the best case currently for them. And yeah, I think I actually bought my current car. It's just a Rav4 maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. That's when
Hmm.
you couldn't like get any EVs. And if you see
Hmm.
I'm sorry. Side note: if you see my camera shaking, there's not an earthquake going on right now. My dog just wants attention, and he's running
Okay.
into everything.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
don't
"What's?"
think there's earthquakes in Florida, but
Yeah, not normally. But yeah, I was just saying when I was shopping for a new car, my I had like a actually an older Rav4, which is like a 2007 Rav4, which was on its like very last legs. I was like, we need a new car now, and we talked to like Tesla or one of the other, I think Ford with their electric ones. They're like, yeah, you can sign up for one, but you won't get it for like a year. I was like, I need a car now, so that
yeah.
was kind of like the peak. But yeah,
Oh, so just supply chain and just get production problems. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it was okay. It was a utility car. It was an Ionic.
and then it's Nice. No, who makes that? I guess it doesn't matter. I think
Yeah.
Hyundai, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right. It took a little getting used to, like, compared to a gas car. The tech was okay. If you got on it. It was also kind of cold that day, so
Hmm.
I wasn't getting the range that I was supposed
Right.
to.
Yeah, that's a thing for sure.
Yeah. Um, you know, uh, Kind of back to the Ferrari thing. Ford came out with, somewhat controversially, they called it the Mustang
The
Mach
Mustang Mach.
E.
Yeah, that's the one I was close to getting, which they,
Oh,
when
okay.
yeah, that's the one that they said they were sold out for a year. Yeah,
Um,
and
I think they were relatively popular. They went over better than the electric F-150 pickup truck that they tried
yeah,
to sell.
which I think got discontinued. The truck
Yeah,
did.
it did
Yeah.
because uh, when you get on it in an electric, you drain that battery fast, and
Hmm.
I think what people discovered is that when you're towing stuff with that electric pickup truck, your battery wears out like instantly.
Yeah, I
Um,
bet.
there was that. So there's a big difference, right, in feel. So if you're thinking about a performance car, uh, it's not just about going fast. Lots of cars can go fast. Um, and certainly every car made today can go faster than the legal speed limit. I'm not advocating breaking the law at all.
But all the cars are made to potentially be able to do that if you so choose
Yes,
to. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Uh, but a lot of the experience, like in that sports car, is the rumble. Like you rev the engine up, and the whole car's
Yeah.
vibrating.
It's a bit of a
Right.
body feel in the car, right?
It's it's kind of primitive, and feel you feel the power very differently. Electrics are so smooth and sophisticated, and yeah, I mean they accelerate like crazy.
Hmm.
They can absolutely beat 0 to 60 times of pretty much any gasoline engine. Uh, but it's not the same experience at all. And I think there's a little bit of that with there's a 4-cylinder Mustang. It's a turbo, not
Hmm.
not not a slow car, but 4 cylinders don't make the same noise as a V8. And Ford actually put microphones in a couple different places around the exhaust system and then
Yeah.
amplify it back into the cabin over the radio speakers to
Yeah.
try to give you
Fake it a
that
little bit.
sports car experience.
Yeah, I didn't know Ford did that with it was like the EcoBoost Mustang, right? That's
Yeah,
the Ford cylinder one. I didn't
and
know they
those are
did that.
very popular because they get great mileage, and they're relatively inexpensive, and if you stand on the gas pedal they go kind of fast, but yeah, it's not the same.
I know I had no idea Ford did that with that one. I know I think the Dodge, what they had an EV Challenger, which
Yeah.
maybe similar to Ferrari, where that wasn't successful. They had like exterior speaker to have like the car sounds, even though like it was the
Oh, so
EV.
so you're going to share the car sound with everyone else
Yeah, everyone else,
too.
yeah,
Okay.
because yeah, so that's important to some people. They want to be loud while they're driving around. Yeah, and it's the this Ferrari has something similar, it said. I don't think it's replicating car sound. I couldn't find much more about it, but there was a line in the article saying it external amplification system that pumps the natural sound of the electronic axles out to the street. So I'll have to like hear that somewhere, but I'm like, what are the sounds of the electronics? Like, I'm thinking of like the sound of like a modem, or something. And it's just
Well,
like,
I'm wondering about it. It's like that motor, kind of that electric motor whine,
hmm.
Um, uh, well, I give them credit for trying. Uh, I think in Europe especially, some of these that's a high end company, right? They're not going to sell many at $640,000.
I don't imagine. Like, I guess they sell a lot of regular Ferraris, and I guess their hope is to sell this to, all the,
Yeah,
old, very wealthy people who buy normal Ferraris. But
but some of those are you could some of those start at like 100 and I think like $150,000. So
that's what I thought.
out of my range, but much more affordable
Yeah.
compared to this.
I felt like I was like maybe I just don't know the prices of these things anymore because growing up I'm like, oh, Lamborghini, Ferrari, $250,000. This is like I know like the value of the dollar or whatever has decreased, but this still feels huge. And I guess I should have had some other prices to compare it to, but like this is asking, assuming people buying this car bought Ferraris before, it's like your brand loyalty and everything. It's asking them to take a big step, and for like that much, you take up such a big step. It
Oh,
seems
okay.
like
It looks like I was wrong. It looks like the current cheapest Ferrari is 250.
Okay, but that's still like three. You buy three Ferraris for the price of this one. Still.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably how fast I would go through them too. Yeah. Yeah, well, and the
That's.
cheap gas one has a higher top speed,
Does it
and
really? Than the
it's
electric one?
yeah. This
Oh,
said
interesting.
192. This one's got this is the Ferrari Roma, 199 mile an hour top speed, and
Interesting.
0 to 60 in 3.3. So it looked like the electric can do 2.9 seconds, or no, sorry, 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60. So, I mean, it's quicker. I mean, you'll crash it that much faster, I guess, is the
Hopefully
point.
not. Yeah, but going that fast with it. But yeah. So it like you said, it accelerates 0 to 60 in 2.5, which I feel like is almost like that used to be like the stat for like gas powered cars, but I feel like electric cars are so just similarly capable. Like this is the top model, the Tesla Model 3, the performance is
Yeah.
just as fast. So, but that's well, that might be, I don't have the numbers exactly, but maybe a $90,000 car for the top Model 3, I assume. Maybe less than
Well,
that.
yeah, that thing's got like it's like 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60, or
Yeah,
something like that. I
so
mean, they're all kind of equally fast. So,
yeah.
um,
Um the
I'm sure
range
the
can
interior's nice in the Ferrari. There isn't a picture of that, but it's they're going to have all the Italian. But some of the complaints actually are about the interior, right?
Yeah, I've seen some pictures. I don't have any here on hand, but they have the middle almost looks like Apple, like an Apple Watch kind of, and it's kind of funny. It kind of looks like that because this was a important note that the design for the car was done in partnership with John Ive, which he was the guy who worked with Apple for 30 years, whatever. It was kind of like the head of design at Apple, so he did
Yeah,
the design
right.
for iPhone, the Apple Watch, the Macs and the classic, like was it the G3 colored Macs and all that. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
basically the design identity from Apple. And I've even heard some people speculate or joke around a little bit that this was the design for the canceled Apple car, and they sold it to Ferrari. And no idea if that's true or not. That could probably just
Interesting.
speculation. But when I look at the design for this car, I see a lot more Apple than Ferrari. So that might not be such a crazy idea. And John Ive, like was that deal he had with Apple because it got sold to Ferrari? He was still just attached to it. It's like maybe a little conspiracy theories here, but maybe.
Well, I would want to try to recoup some of my investment. I heard they sunk a ton of money into that project.
Yeah, that was like
Not,
a. I was saying that was like a 7-year long project. I feel like they were working on it. You heard about the rumors and things get leaked all the time, and then just for them to stop it and like cancel it.
I think existing car companies are going to have an advantage because there's a ton of stuff in a car that has nothing to do with the drivetrain that is just part of being having cars. Like uh, headlights and seats and the seat moving the seat back and forth and all this mundane, the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that seems mundane, but there's a tremendous amount of industrial design and development that goes into this stuff over decades. So I always thought it was a bit of a stretch for Apple to try to get into the car business. I mean, they have all the money in the world, right? But it's more than just money. It's that expertise and that knowledge. And Tesla, to their credit, it reinvented that all from scratch. They wanted to, except for the very first kind of prototype, which was a
Right.
Lotus Elise chassis.
Yep.
Everything else, ever since then, they've redesigned and redeveloped everything else about their car internally to do it. Um, I think that tech is interesting. I kind of fall in this area where I feel like hybrids are in the long run going to be um, the more flexible option, and it's not exactly hybrids like they are today, where there's like a gas engine and um, and electric drive. and the drivetrain can run directly off the gas engine, or it can run off electric.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot of complicated gearing to support that. I'm kind of hoping that somebody will come up with electric drive, right? Because there's a lot of benefit to electric drive,
Mm-hmm.
um, but onboard power generation. So instead of having to have tons and tons of batteries, you can have a specialized generator to generate the electricity
Mm-hmm.
from probably a much wider variety of fuels than you um, um, can get by with in a gas car. Gasoline is a very special thing, and gas. You know, when the engine's connected to the drivetrain, you need lots of torque and you need a wide variability in the operating speeds and all that stuff. And you can, I think you'd be able to really simplify it if we kind of throw out those requirements and just
Mm-hmm.
use it specifically to generate power, like maybe at nearly a constant RPM or something like that. So anyway, I'm not an automotive engineer. I watch a lot of guys on YouTube
Yeah.
who are into this stuff, but um, I kind of think that'll be the long run. You'll have pure electric for, like I was talking about, like getting around town a little bit, regular kind of routine travel. But it's so liberating to be able to just hop in the car and drive anywhere I want and know that I can fill up the tank in like 2 minutes and then be
Yeah.
back on the road. It that's that's not been beat, right, by any
And
of the
until they
electrics.
get like electric chargers at like basically every single gas station that currently has gas, right? And they have them at some, but I feel like it's still like it's a guessing game. Like I feel like if you're not using some kind of software map, it's more likely than not they won't have it. You kind of have to
Yeah.
like plan around that, and yeah, it's just not there currently. And I feel like
And they'll
even
they'll
just
have
kind
to they'll have to be able to charge fast, right? I don't
yeah.
want to sit for an hour waiting for my car to charge.
Is that still the current
That
like is that about how long it takes to charge an electric car?
Yeah, I think so. Like you can do like 80% in 30 minutes or something like that. But to get a full charge, it's not it takes more time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very impatient. Other people are or this
Yeah.
one guy I knew, he was in the internet business. He did lots of road trips around Colorado, as did I. But he bought a little electric, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "That's no problem. I just plan my trip around recharging, and I've researched and know where all the the compatible rechargers are, and I just have to make sure I plan my trip that way." I don't want to do that.
It
That's
still it locks you in a bit. It does.
it does, and I'm not a good planner. I'll forget
Some of the magic of the impromptu road trip is not planning and planning even
that.
less. Just
Yeah,
saying, let's just get out on the road, right?
that's
I
true.
will say some of the range for the new Ferraris, I thought it sounded pretty good at 330 miles of range.
Uh-huh.
Apparently that's not even good anymore. Apparently like the standard is like they've gone to like 5 to 600 now. They were saying some
Okay.
comparable models from like Volkswagen and the other companies. So I guess like if you get all the way charged, you're probably doing pretty well. But then it's like I'd probably be better at remembering plugging my car in my garage, but I'm terrible at plugging my phone, and like my headphones and like
Yeah,
they
right.
live on like 19%. So but yeah, we'll
Yeah, that
see.
would be hair raising.
I'm just looking at this picture and like I don't know if Ferrari probably not. They probably have never like promoted a car as blue because like you think of Ferrari, you think of that Ferrari red, like that's a color, like that is a type of red.
Hmm.
It's just Ferrari red. So
Yeah.
they're definitely taking a big chance with this and jump. I
Do
don't
we
know if
think the
that's the way.
they do have Ferraris in other colors, but red is the most popular one.
It's red, like black, maybe. I know they're actually like supposed to be very strict about what you can do with a
Okay.
Ferrari. So I know that that one DJ guy, I'm not gonna remember his name, but like one of the early dubstep guys,
Uh-huh.
he got sued by Ferrari because this was like in 2010. This was like a while ago, but he put a plastic like design wrap around his Ferrari, and it was
Yeah.
like cats, and he called it the Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Ferrari. And Ferrari sued him for that because they said you can't let our car look like that. You can't do that to our car. And this crazy contracts he signed with Ferrari when you
Okay.
buy one, stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
because they have a very distinct image they go for, and like this seems like they're kind of putting some of that to the wayside. Um, so
Well, it's a new world. They're worried. I think there's a lot of regulatory pressure,
yeah,
particularly in
in Europe,
Europe,
right?
where they're like, we're not going to let you sell gas cars after 2035, kind of like California did. Although I somehow doubt California will
I think
stick with
California's
that.
walked that back a little bit, and maybe
Yeah,
even I don't have the facts in front of me, but I feel like I even heard stuff about Europe about kind of slowing that down a little bit. But if they're gonna do that, I feel like the future of that is like if it really becomes a mainly EV world, and we're kind of just getting a whole nother conversation now, but I feel like they'll still have like the enthusiast hobby version of cars that you don't drive every day. And those
hmm,
cars aren't the cars causing the issues. It's just commuters that, people driving don't
yeah,
care if it's electric or gas either way. So,
right, yeah. There may come a time when it becomes less of an issue where um, you know half of cars are electric or even two-thirds of cars are electric. But some people are just gonna, they'll have a reason, to stick with um, a portable fuel source vehicle. And
mhm.
for
Or
me,
even if it's
I
just a
like
preference,
I
right?
like the rumble when I'm driving
Yeah,
the Mustang. I like
exactly.
it.
It's
It's got a
almost they have film cameras and digital cameras now. If you still like the feeling and look of film camera, you can still go out and find that
right.
and use it that way, right?
Yeah, they have certain character, right?
Yep,
And you
exactly.
don't. And new technology may actually be better. Okay, but
Yeah, it'll be more convenient for the masses and they'll have access to
yeah,
that. But if you like a different style, still be able to use that.
I don't like. I never liked having to develop film. I like being able to take, like that Norm Macdonald, said 100,000 pictures. Here's 100,000 pictures of my grandpa. You want to see it?
Yeah,
But
I feel like I think my generation is the last one that had to take their cameras to Walgreens to get them
yeah,
developed.
yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's not there definitely isn't universal um, agreement on what people want out of a car.
Yeah, that's
So
true. You're not gonna make everybody happy. I
yeah,
feel like this probably made probably more people unhappy than happy, but I'm sure there'll be people who will buy this and that will enjoy it. And
I'm sure.
I wonder how soon we'll see one in Sarasota. I'm willing to
Uh,
bet we will.
oh, there's so many Cybertrucks around here.
Yep,
I
this is. I think it's a cyber
probably
truck capital outside of like Texas and California maybe, and we just like I saw a Tesla. I used to see those what they call it, the Lance. What car did they make the Tesla from? The Lotus.
Lotus. Yeah.
There used to be one that came around here in Sarasota in like 2009, 2010. So
Okay.
we're weirdly like early with a lot of the car culture stuff. And if you go downtown Sarasota, you see all those crazy cars and
There's a lot of old people with money here. That's
exactly they need
that's
something to spend it on. So I'll count down the days to the first sighting of seeing a Ferrari. How do I say it? Luce in Sarasota.
all right. Well,
All right,
I'll share a picture if I come across one before you do.
sounds good. So that covers the news for this week. We'll start going to our outro section of the podcast. We'll start with our tech recommendations if we have any for this week. Any recommendations, Baz? Anything you've been using lately that you want to share? Or
Not really. I have been just focused on this code, and um, I think I settled on some speakers to try. But I haven't tried them yet, so I'll
okay,
let you know.
we'll have to know in the next episode. No one ever recommended us speakers, and I appreciate the audience for listening, but also I'm a little disappointed. But
Shame, shame.
shame. Was that Game of Thrones? A shame bell? Shame. Ding. Alrighty. Well, I do have a tech. Yeah, it's a tech adjacent recommendation for So right before I started recording this podcast, actually, my router or the fiber equivalent to a router, I forget what it's called, but it's in my living room. I'm in a separate room here, And recording podcasts, I want to have the best internet possible, so I'm gonna connect it with Ethernet. I have it's about 100 feet of Ethernet to be able to get here to that router. So I have to solve the issue of not just having a big bundle of Ethernet wires just in a corner somewhere. I took this idea from actually Christmas lights. So when I bought Christmas lights, I think I saw online somewhere you can buy one of those circle organizers for extension cables. I
Okay.
was like,
Uh,
okay, I'll use those for Christmas lights, so they don't go just in the big bin. You have to like untangle them, every Christmas and everything. And I thought to myself, I could do the same thing with the Ethernet cable. And yeah, it worked pretty well. You just kind of wind it up in that thing, and it has like it spins to unwind. So I tried it out for the first time before we started recording here. I walked it backwards, and I was unwinding it behind me, and it came out. Didn't get tangled or anything. It worked pretty great. Once we finish up here, I'm gonna wrap it up again so the dogs don't pull it out of the modem. And yeah, if you use Ethernet cable and it's not going through the wall and you don't always have it plugged in, I recommend that system.
that's a great idea, and that's inexpensive at any Home Depot or whatever, right?
I think I got it for like $5. Yeah, so inexpensive solution. Just wrap it up and we're done with it. Put it on a shelf or put it in the garage, whatever, and just get it out of the way. 'Cause there's nothing worse than just a giant just bundle of cable somewhere that's just like ugly to look at and they all tangled up and not great.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my data closet here in the house.
I have to share us a picture. Let's see it so we can we'll ring the shame bell some more.
Actually, for next time, I'll talk about my little firewall, which is it's a little micro PC. Basically, I
Mm-hmm.
put firewall software on it. I've been
Mm-hmm.
very happy with that. So that's a good one for
Interesting.
next time.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. That sounds interesting. Alrighty. So those are our tech recommendations. Then we'll go into this day in tech history. So on June 1st, which is tomorrow when this podcast will be live, June 1st, 1999 was when the music file sharing program Napster was released. If anyone's too young or doesn't know what Napster is, they were a peer-to-peer file sharing service that changed the music industry forever. They ran for about 3 years until I believe they were shut down by the federal government because the music industry got involved and they're like, we want people to be paying for their music.
Yeah, they
Napster,
got sued
yeah,
big
seemed
time.
pretty bad. So if you've heard like LimeWire or similar services around that early 2000s time, that was the same idea. But I believe it was just it was shared as just a file sharing service. So like, hey, share whatever files you want with your friends or whatever. But MP3 files are a thing, which is just an audio file. So you have each individual songs, and basically, it made downloading and sharing music free. And before that,
Hmm.
obviously, the music companies would sell their music on vinyl records or CDs or cassette tapes. Um, and this is really when it went digital. Like it or not, this for the music companies, it made everything digital. So the Spotify's we have today and Apple Music, and even before that, iTunes was a result of music being changed to be done in a digital way.
Yeah, when was iTunes released? Because January 9, 2001. So it was a response to
Oh, did I
the
lose?
yeah, yeah. It was a response to the obvious and dramatic demand for digital music and
Mm-hmm.
portable music that Napster showed. Um, to be clear, Napster made it easy to steal music. I mean, I don't know, growing up, we always I would go to friends' houses and just, record albums that they had on a cassette. They would
Yeah,
do
there
the
were ways
same.
before that, right?
But
Yeah, so this,
but
uh-huh.
you couldn't do it thousands at a time. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the damage to, the music industry was limited. And usually, and would record a lot of my own albums I would buy on a cassette for the car. Um, but the quality wasn't great, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, if you did that a few times, then, it was unlistenable because there'd be
You're
so
right.
much noise. But that was the risk to the record companies. And the record companies were just really, what's the word? Stubborn about um, going, oh, we're in the digital age. Maybe people would like to just like have music on their computer or on their little, portable devices. Uh, and they finally got it. And Steve Jobs did a great idea of getting them on board, and probably Napster was the wake up call, right? Like, you're all going to be out of business here unless you do something like what I got to offer you. And indeed, a lot of I think people in the music industry credit that with saving, iTunes and the iPod credit. They give credit to those products for saving the music industry. Um, Now, today, 26 years later, I don't think much of the music industry,
Yeah.
at least in terms of the product they generally turn out. And I still buy CDs uh,
Okay.
because I know I'm kind of odd on that. Like, I think most young people just like doing streaming on Spotify and stuff.
Yeah.
The artists make like 1/100th of what they used to.
Yeah. That's what, but it's like you kind of see them how they, pivot into a lot more touring now. So
Yeah.
you have more
Okay.
chances to see them live is what kind of where they get their money through events. But at the same time, now if you look up tickets for like anything, it's like
Yeah, the tickets are
crazy
expensive.
expensive. Yeah. So like I think I saw last time Rolling Stones were in Tampa, it was like $400 to get like the highest seats when
I think,
before.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think Rush is going to be like $500 and up. It's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. Yeah. Especially like bands like Rush. I don't think they've played in a while, right? Um,
Yeah, it's been a while.
yeah. Um, yep. So it's but Napster was kind of, they kind of kicked off the whole, and it probably would change anyway with technology. But Napster is, I feel like you look in the tech history books, you see Napster there. Yeah, as the
There
beginning of
was
all of it.
we when I saw Napster, the first thing that came to my mind was the hilarious spoof. You just go Google Napster Metallica
Hmm.
video or on YouTube, just like Metallica Napster. There was this hilarious like 3 minute animated spoof, kind of digging into Metallica for being very vocal against Napster and talking about,
Yeah.
how am I going to buy more Ferraris if you're just downloading our songs for free?
Right. Yeah, I remember Metallica kind of became like the musical face of the fight,
Yeah.
between online. Yeah.
Well, it's another world.
Sure is. Alrighty. So that's the show. Thank you so much for listening to the Thinking in Tech podcast. I'm gonna have to go feed my dog before he starts jumping on me. He's staring me down. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow us on your podcast service of choice and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. We'd appreciate if you click the like button and left a comment. That's how we know people are enjoying what we're doing and helps us get discovered by new listeners. There he is. Let us know if you're someone who may be interested in appearing on the show as a guest. Email us at thinkingtechpod@gmail.com. And then the last legal bit, the views expressed in this podcast are completely of our own and do not reflect or represent the views of any past, current, or future employers. Thank
I
you so
think
much
your
for
dog
watching.
wants to be a guest.
I think yeah, do you want, here, Data, come here. Last second guess. Come on, jump up here. Dabu, yep. Let's see.
Oh,
There he is.
good
Dog
boy.
named Data. Appropriately
Good
named
boy.
Data for the tech show. All right, say bye bye, everyone, Data.
Bye bye.